In Joseph's revision of John's text, the prophet rearranges some of the verses. Verse 2 remains the same, but John's verse 5 became Joseph's verse 3. The woman gave birth to a male child, which was immediately caught up into heaven. As the woman appears on the scene, she cries due to the travail of birth. The sound is not weeping, but a very loud shrieking sound. The Greek original, translated as cried, is an onomatopoetic term from a raven's cry. Anciently, Venus was known for making ear-piercing shrieks as it traversed the sky. Isis, the Egyptian Venus, for example, let out a shriek when the coffin of Osiris was revealed. She was said to wail like the wind and shriek in tempest. The Greek Aphrodite shrieked aloud as she wandered in the wake of the death of Adonis. The Hindu Kali caused fear with her appearance and piercing shriek. Inanna, the Sumerian Venus, had a shrieking voice that shattered foreign lands. The crying of the woman clothed with the sun will be a piercing shriek, loud enough to fill the heavens and bring fear to the inhabitants of earth. After her pain travail, the woman clothed with the sun gave birth to a male child. The goddess giving birth to a male child is a well-established mythic archetype. Almost every national avatar of the planet Venus gave birth to a hero figure. All these goddesses were virgins when they gave birth to their hero sons. This supports the identity of the child, which John gives later in the chapter, Jesus Christ. The woman clothed with the sun must also be a virgin, since her son is Christ, who was born of a virgin. The first layer of the symbolism, the archetypes, breaks out in this fashion. Unlike the biblical text, Joseph Smith's translation provides the interpretation of the birth. The woman gave birth to Christ and his kingdom, both represented by the male child. Now we should note here that the woman gave birth to more than a child. She also gave birth to a kingdom. The sense is, in mythic terms, that the child and the kingdom are the same. The loud voice from heaven made this point. There is no kingdom without Christ, and where there is Christ, there is the kingdom. When we first see the woman, she is already pregnant. The archetypes and naturalistic explanation are easy to understand. But what were the planets and movements which gave rise to these particular archetypes? What did John see? How was the mother goddess Venus pregnant with the hero child Mars? To answer this question, we must go back to the original archetypes. In describing the scenes he saw in chapter 12 and elsewhere, John used the ancient imagery of archetypes. This allows his readers to more readily understand what will occur in the heavens. And moreover, the events seen by the Revelator were quite similar to the events in our ancient skies. The woman, man-child, dragon, rod of iron, and so forth are symbolic depictions of their ancient counterparts, using the same planets, same planetary attributes, and their same movements. As we have seen, John's heavenly woman mirrors the ancient mother goddess, an archetype of the planet Venus. The male child is the warrior hero of ancient times, the planet Mars. The pregnancy of Venus with Mars is another ancient archetype adopted by John. Anciently, the heroes had many forms of birth, but all were associated with the mother goddess. The band enclosing the hero was the outer edge of Venus itself, and when Mars moved to the top of the Axis Mundi, it appeared to the earthbound observer that the red planet had entered into the womb of Venus. Since Mars was smaller than Venus, the outer ring of Venus's surface was visible. This is the enclosing band of the womb of the mother goddess. The orb of Mars, protruding from the flatter surface of Venus, was visible from Earth. This was the extended belly of the pregnant mother goddess. The birth of the hero was the departure of Mars from Venus's enclosure and descent along the axis towards Earth. As Mars descends to Earth immediately after its departure from within the orb of Venus, the mythic birth of the warrior hero, the planet necessarily looms larger and larger to the inhabitants of Earth. The Hindu Indra was said to have been so large after his birth that he filled heaven and earth. A South American version of the Martian hero grew so rapidly at birth that he was given the nickname the male child who grows fast. The Ossetians of the Caucasus related that their warrior hero, Batraz, as a little boy, was thrown into the sea, whereupon he grew to the size of a mountain. The phenomenal growth of the hero at birth was often interpreted as the instant attainment of maturity or being born as a fully grown and capable adult. Indra, for example, when he grew to fill heaven and earth, was born fully clothed and ready for battle. More importantly for our purposes, in interpreting chapter 12 of Revelation, the warrior hero was fully capable at birth of fighting and defeating dragons. The Rig Vedas relate that Indra slew a dragon shortly after his birth. This mystic motif explains the sudden and timely appearance of the Martian hero Michael, ready to battle the dragon immediately after the birth of the warrior hero from the woman clothed with the sun. After its descent towards Earth, Mars will ascend along the Axis Mundi, eventually reaching its zenith. The child, in the Hebrew version of the mythic story, will ascend to heaven. The descent and ascent of Mars just before the second coming is a repetition of prior events in the heavens. The ascent and descent of Mars in antiquity was seen by all of mankind and was given numerous interpretations and meanings. One ascent story was that of Lucifer, the morning star, or, in other words, Mars, who ascended to heaven to seize the throne from God. In Lucifer's case, the morning star was attempting to seize unlawful power, yet the very same imagery is used by John for Jesus Christ, the rightful king, to receive lawful power. The Egyptian avatar of Mars, Horus, ascended to the Akhet of heaven, the enclosure within the mother goddess and throne of God, to assume his rightful role as universal king. Ev Cochran explains. John uses this second interpretation for the ascent of Mars to heaven. Jesus Christ, like Horus, is the rightful heir of the kingdom. With Jesus Christ sitting upon his heavenly throne, the kingdom of God will be established. After all, the child of the woman represents both king and kingdom. After the dragon is defeated, a voice in heaven will announce the new kingdom and proclaim its king. As at the creation of the world, the heavens will again rejoice. The morning stars that dwell in the heavens will shout for joy. At this point in our reconstruction of Revelation chapter 12, we need to take a pause to codify what we have learned. First, there was the birth of the child, Mars. As the child descended along the Axis Mundi, removing itself from the center of Venus, the womb of the woman, both the kingdom of God and its ruler came forth. Second, at the child's birth, there arose a fully armed and capable warrior hero, Michael, ready to fight the forces of evil, represented by the dragon. This was symbolized by the descent of Mars towards Earth, swelling in size to the size of a giant or a grown man. Third, Mars ascended the Axis Mundi to its peak, the gathering place of the planetary gods, heavens, and the location of the throne of God. The newly born king sat upon the throne, guaranteeing his right to rule over the nations.